I was kidnapped in Australia. You could say a God inspiration. I gained the courage and I started to go again to China. Worked as a professor, even though I was a bachelor at the time. That's controversial and so forth. But there's some get out 20 law books, and we're sitting here, we're going through these law books, right? Oh my goodness. 5 hours later. Oh, sorry, attorney, you're wrong about that. Politician. Well, let me see here. I feel like taking out your toothbrush and doing some clean. Hey, can I brush your teeth? Can I clean you up?
Before we get started, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode of our cutting-edge contemporary conversations. Thank you. Welcome, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Could you talk us through your background, your experience, what you've been doing with your life?
How far back do you want to go? The Stone Age or?
Whichever. Where do you want to start?
Okay. Well, back when I was a baby, I was known for punching the little crate so hard it'd get cracks in. I'm just kidding.
That's okay. Fair enough.
Kidding. So I grew up and my family moved around quite a bit. My dad was a veteran. He retired and became a pastor, and so we were Alaska, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and so forth. And then I decided to go into college, and I didn't even really finish it yet. And I went overseas, and I went and taught English in West Papua, and that was my breaking point of learning about the real world. Before that, I went to see my brother in college in Canada and some other things, but this was like total culture shock, revolutionary movements. And so I got into it. They're in these vehicles and they're chujacks or whatever, and it's basically a van that's moving. And these things are just so bumpy, right? So I just started going, woohoo, and like, hey, revolution! And people were looking at me like, who in the world is that nutty American? But from there, I got involved with some of the revolution there by accident, pretty much. And I would just they would come and talk to me and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think we should do this or that? And I'm like, oh yeah, you should do this or whatever. And then I left there. I went to Australia. In Australia, I ended up. I'm about to make the mood go down really low.
That's
here,
fine.
But I was kidnapped in Australia, and I was used for things that aren't so good, torture, whatever. But I've gained a new insight in that, gained new strength, and when I managed to figure out how to contact my parents, tricked them, and I managed to get home.
What age was this?
I was about 23 at the time, so I was still pretty young and fresh. And then, of course, I got my education and stuff, but I learned how this was the beginning of the process of learning how to look past the one thing here. So the kidnapping was done by a Vietnamese mafia group, and they'd even say a threat, you try to get away, we're going to call the police and say that you raped this girl, you did all this stuff. Being a young man, that makes you kind of scared, so I stay in place. But then, through, you could say, a God inspiration, I gained the courage, and I started to go against this. And I mention this because this was my stepping stone toward my human trafficking research, where I would go out and research on human trafficking by myself or with groups later on. So then in 2014-15, I went to Aberystwyth University, and I did a dual law degree. Now, this was another situation of a mix-up, right? Because I was told, you're going to be able to come along in all these places, everything else. I got there, they took out an LPC course, guess what? I wasn't able to become a lawyer in the UK. So I had to expand my mind, think of what I need to do. Now, I did forget one little point that's essential in between when I was kidnapped. I got out, went back and all this stuff in the UK. I met a girl, yeah, it happens online, and I went to China, worked as a professor, even though all I had was a bachelor at the time. And I worked there for 3 weeks. The third week, I go to the library. You know what happens? I tripped. It was the craziest thing. I tripped. Bam! I'm like, my legs, I hurt my leg. And I had to walk all the way back to this university by myself, because each time I try to get on, these people were just crowding, push you away and everything. So I walked back, and that next week, they tell me, we're going to have a meeting with you. And I'm like, okay, so just the one person. I get there, it's recorded. There's all these high-ups there, and they're accusing me of espionage and a bunch of other stuff. And that moment, sitting there, just thinking to myself, you know, what's going on, right? How did I get myself in this? But I managed to somehow, God just gave me the courage, and I stood up to him. And I said to him, you know what? No, that's not right. These things, you're saying I was a spy. I just went to the library. I'm a bookworm, for goodness sake. I'm not a spy, you know. Now then, I managed to get out of it, but I wanted the video. I don't usually get really angry at times, but I went into that place and I said to him, look, you're giving me the video because I was told I was going to get the video, and I want that video. Because I knew that was going to be my proof in case whoever tried to come by. So I went back to the States. Now my girlfriend, she was going to come over. She got with work visa agency, and I said to her, we want you to, don't mind doing this, but we want you to tell a little lie that you're going there to get married to this guy, some name she never heard of. Now, don't worry about, it's just going to make the process easier. She got over. I was in Michigan at the time. She was going to California. Guess what happened? She ended up becoming a human traffic victim. She was kidnapped. One of the last things I heard from her was, I'm in hell, and what can you do, and all this stuff. And she was in a really bad situation. I went to the California police, well, I called them. Obviously, I was in Michigan, right? You know what they told me? You're not family. You can't do this. And so I told you that story because this is what got me into going to Aberystwyth, doing a dual degree in humanitarian human rights. I wanted to become a lawyer so I can go back there and try to help her out, or at least to help people in those situations out. And when they did this to me at Aberystwyth, I come over here, find out a lot of the stuff they said I can go and, you know, I could become a lawyer here and there. I gullibly took their word for it. You know, I should have had Stooge hat on, right? So when that happened, I was trying to get these jobs in the States. I did a Commonwealth, their Human Rights Initiative internship in 2016. And after that, I went back home because I had that objective. I was trying to get in, and then after it wasn't working, I'm trying to get into these political, or not the political, but the administration positions in the government where I can have some kind of hand, like analyst or something, where I'm dealing with human rights. I just had a strong desire to help people in these kind of situations. And since then, and I went through all that. I tried to even do, when that wasn't working, I tried to work as a border officer. I went through all this. I went through all these processes. When I got to the interview, I didn't pass it. maybe I'm a little too scrawny for them.
That's fine.
Now, from this process, I decided my next process, I'm just going to get a public administration degree because that'll try to help me even more. And when I was doing that, I ended up, there was some fishy stuff going on. In this place, I got a part-time job doing a nursing home right in Florida. Right in Florida. And I started investigating. I found out it really seemed like they were killing off the residents there. So I was going after them. I was starting to do the research. I thought once I get enough research, I'll get to the police. I ended up getting poisoned. One of the people who was involved in it poisoned, and I don't have the proof to show you right now, but I got a test done proving one time rat poison, the other one I believe was selenium or something like that. So after this process and looking at everything that's happening, during this period in 2019, 2020, and some other periods, I was going overseas researching human rights and human trafficking stuff to try to help people as well when I could, save a little bit. I was creating a lot of different self-run businesses. You could say self-employed. Because even though I was going for all these positions, not getting them, I said to myself, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to keep going. And considering all this self-employed businesses I did and some of these other ones I did, I started a nonprofit think tank in 2016 with some of my friends from Aberystwyth over there in Wales. All this stuff was just building me to even more experiences and more knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want you to talk more on the idea of American spirit, the idea of being an American for you, because you have been through a lot in experiences. But what does it bring it home for you? What does it mean for you? And where do you see that understanding of the spirit of America works very well in what context?
Let me give you 2 words, and I'll explain later. Halloween ghost. You're like, what do you mean, Halloween ghost? You look at the holiday of Halloween. This is a time that's controversial and so forth, but there's some good stuff to it as well. For example, it's a time when communities get together and the little kids can go out trick-or-treating, getting candies. And in some countries, that'd be really dangerous to do. In some cities where, right, this would be very dangerous to do. But it shows that community of America and that, as you say it, that American spirit. And that's a good way for me to try to explain that in a simple manner.
Where do you see the social and the political environment in your country is changing, is evolving, is constructing or reconstructing in many ways? And how do you see the transformation in the last decades and then coming?
I'm about to say something that's going to be very controversial, but I don't think that my country has really been independent for a very long time. I think that after the Civil War, the Confederates lost, but they'd already built a connection with the British, who were run by the Germans at the time. Now, during this period, the British helped them, sorry against the British, but it was really Germans running at the time. They helped them in a campaign of guerrilla warfare. For example, you hear the term carpetbagger. Most people in America hear that, oh, that's a bad term. These are corrupt people. But when you really look in the history of it, these people were coming down from the north to the south to try to fight against corruption and so forth. Maybe a few of them were corrupt, but there's multiple stories of them being executed or assassinated and so forth by the southern people, by the elite in that area. And the Democrats, we usually think about the term Democrat being the South, all that kind of stuff. but they were actually very powerful in the North, even though they're a minority. And during this period, a lot of them that were up here, they started having all these immigrants coming over here. And you know what it was? People won't want to hear this, but it was actually white slavery, because it would be considered human trafficking nowadays. They go into place, you have to pay for this tool. You have to pay for this. You had people sleeping on stairs. And the Democrats, slowly but surely, used this because they had their strongmen go to the ballot, you're voting the people we want you to vote for. But these Democrats, over time, they were in the process of also infiltrating the other parties, Republican Party and so forth. So I don't really like the term rhino. For me, I think it should be used the term infiltrator for that instead. But when we get to the point of Woodrow Wilson, we're already at a loss. He says to himself, with all of his connection with international groups over here in Europe and stuff, we need to make more administration, more of this in USA, and this will give us a bigger chance to control the American people. Now, did we have some independence and freedom, like we can hire politicians and so forth? Yes, but we'd already lost quite a bit of our freedom. Let me give you another example. When you look at the Soviet Union and China, people are thinking, okay, right? Most people think they just popped up, but actually they had funders over here in Europe. They had their meetings, secret meetings, Switzerland, Belgium, and London, and so forth. And there's a movie you can watch called Fall of the Eagles that kind of talks about this, and they were manipulating the uprising of these countries over there. And then nowadays people think, oh, the WF is separate from Russia and all this kind of stuff. No, they're all working together. And our country right now in USA, let me give you an example of something I'm actually going against right now in my own state. Last week from here, I've been building up a case. When I got in the CRB, the Charter Review Board in my county, I was purposely putting on an act so that people would see that these attorneys are steering even the Charter Review Board at the local county level. And even though this attorney was a private attorney, guess where their money's coming from? It's coming from the county attorneys. Then you have the city attorneys. When you watch the meetings, and not just mine, but others, of course, when they go off topic, what do? They make a big fuss. Now, our county attorney from back in 22, they put in some policy that took away the freedoms of the people in that county. So they had less freedom to control their own charter. The county attorney was totally for it. Even though in 2004, this Florida Supreme Court did a hearing very similar about this, basically the same thing, that said, no more, you can't do this sort of policies, right? Now, I've been working on that, I got that out, and you're seeing they do that when you have a legislator attorney that's sitting there, and you have the legislators, Charter Review Board members, whoever, people who aren't really so trained in the law. A lawyer says something, you're going to listen to them because they're professional. And the legislators, not like we can get out 20 law books and we're sitting here, we're going through these law books, right? Oh my goodness. 5 hours later, sorry, attorney, you're wrong about that. The attorney would probably just look and say, well, I'm the expert, right? Plus, back in the day, anybody could become a lawyer. You didn't have to have a Juris Doctorate degree. You could go and take the bar exam and do it. So if we had, nowadays they're always talking about social justice and stuff, right? Well, having a Juris Doctorate, putting that in, where's the social justice in that? In my opinion, as a way for them to keep the elitism in. And that's just an example, but things like this are happening all across the country. Yeah.
And can you talk more on the political side of it, specifically in the most recent times? How is the politics of your country is evolving, and how does it impact the global environment? What happens in the U.S.?
Well, the USA and the global environment, a lot of the countries have a very potent and strong connection to USA, of course. But like I was saying before, with the WF connection of Russians and all this, a lot of them who seem like they might be enemies, they're working together. And that goes with the entire global situation. For example, we're seeing that with we find out that America is working with China doing experiments on COVID-19. But I feel that democracy itself is a very strong opponent, but it's only a strong opponent as we have the accountability. If you don't have accountability, then we have all kinds of crazy stuff happen. I've been in a lot of countries, and you see it over and over where, over in Timbuktu or some far off place, or it could be closer, you got the Banana Republic, some guy comes out and he's the president, but he has his little banana crown on, and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Talking more on, if you can define these two terms for me, the word statesperson and the word politician, and how would these two terms be defined by you from your perspective?
When I hear the term politician, the word statesman is supposed to be someone who's respectable and so forth, right? Politician. Well, let me see here. You feel like taking out your toothbrush and doing some clean. Hey, can I brush your teeth? Can I clean you up? And I'm getting this image of some politician's son in Ukraine. I'm not going to mention names, right? And these are the kind of images that a lot of people get with the politician. They need to get their toothbrush out and get cleaned up, right?
You're right. Okay.
And that a statesman is the actual definition of it is almost to the point of like, this guy should be like a saint or something. But I don't know how everyone else views it, though.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your views. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.